Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday this Sunday night on, it's February the 18th. I am your host, I am Roland Man, and we've got an exciting show for you tonight. We are going to hear all of the inside scoop, but first I'm going to introduce the cast. With us tonight is Kara's elderly co-worker, Mr. Tom Mason.
Hi, everyone.
Tommy, I want you to take a really quick note of Tom's name. You're not the only one who misspells your name. Look at it. He's Tom Mason tonight.
Oh,
look at that.
Well, then you got to make fun of him for the next year.
I got to go back in and fix that.
Also with me is the all-around con artist, Mr. Thomas Florimati Jr. Say hi, Tommy.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And, of course, Miss Roberta Conroy, who is working on Cat and Mouse Colors tonight.
Hello. Champion Miss Fury, too.
Champion Miss Fury, that one's been done.
No, not done yet.
And our special guest tonight, who is going to spill all of the beans, Miss Kara Lamb.
Hello. So glad
How are you, Kara?
I'm doing great. It's awesome to see you guys again. It's been forever.
Is it spill the beans or spill the tea?
The kids say spill the tea now, but I'm good with spill the beans. Yeah.
All right. Let's say spill the tea then. Let's go with the kids.
Yeah.
Let's go with the kids.
All right.
All right. Let's do that, because I think I had heard my son say that before, but I didn't know what he meant, so I just went, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, because in the South you have sweet tea, so you don't have like real tea.
What do you mean real tea? That is real tea.
No, you
That's
have your
no.
That's the drink that actually tastes good.
Real
It
tea.
tastes like grass.
I'm not disparaging it. I'm just saying real tea is like the British tea where they, you know.
Well,
and
I'm
sweet
disparaging sweet tea. Yeah, I'm
sweet tea is just like
yeah.
sugar with a ton of water in it.
Yeah, baby.
And real tea is just like coffee. I mean, it's like
well,
No, real
it's
tea is
not.
like drinking dirt. I don't know why you. No, I actually like my sweet tea that right when you make it and it's hot and you put it over ice, and then so it's hot and cold and sweet at the same time.
That's so good, man. See, now you're making me want sweet tea now.
Hi, Kara. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well.
Welcome to Tea Time with Roland, Tom, and Tommy.
So, Kara, tonight, like I told you in the emails and our message, we swapped. It's all about you tonight, and so
no,
we're going to ask you.
Effort.
But
come on.
Tommy is going to ask you a question. And you'll know it when he asks it. You can just ignore that one. All right.
No.
All the other questions
he asked. Question.
No, all the other questions you can answer.
I'm
But he's
going to ask you a bunch
one.
of dumb stuff, and then I'm going to ask the important one.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, hit me with whatever. I'm ready. Bring it on.
All right.
I do mine at the
Oh, I
end.
love that.
So
Good
we're gonna start off, Kara, by so for those of you who might not know, Kara was an editor at Malibu. She was one of the very first editors there. She was, I don't even know, I'm not sure what you started out, assistant editor or editorial assistant. What was the
I
first?
started out as editorial assistant, then assistant editor, and then associate editor.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you were there. So Kara was there before I was there. Kara was.
This
Kara
true.
was,
Yes.
Yeah, Kara was one of the ones that I think you were Tom's assistant first, right?
Mhm.
I was. Mhm.
So when I would call for Tom, I would often get Kara. So I knew Kara before I actually went out to
Because that was the secret. It's like, Kara, I'm done talking to Roland. Can you answer the phone?
That's exactly right.
That's the-
I do not want to talk
There we go.
because here's the thing. there's no point in having any kind of assistant or editorial assistant or associate editor unless they can screen out the phone calls and gatekeep for you.
And Roland, not to make you feel bad, but in all honesty, it went Tom, Kim, Stacy, me. So if it got to me,
oh man,
and
passed around.
And Roland, if it makes you feel any better, I would also have Kara take Harlan Ellison's phone calls.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because they would go through the receptionist would call up and say, Tom, I got Harlan on line 1, and I would say, oh Christ, I know what he wants. Kara, I got Harlan on the phone. Can you take it for me?
No.
hello.
Now I never talked to Kim before I moved out there. I did talk to Kara and Stacy, but I never talked to Kim before I moved out there.
I remember, and Stacy and my desk faced each other. We were right next there, and we're kind of across from Tom.
Right.
And so I would be on the phone with someone, and then Stacy would be like, "Tell him this, and she's giving me right across the.
Well, that was the great thing about having an open office like that was you could either hold up a sign or just whisper, and like pass a note across the desk, like ask him this question.
Right. Like, I don't want to talk to them, but ask this.
Right. You do the small talk and then find out where the pages are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, I didn't get to find out where pages were. When there were complaints, that was me. That's why you would put those guys to me, and then I would listen.
Right.
And I was well, that's we hear you. We understand.
We hear you.
that prepared me for my career now. Yeah.
So let's back up just a little bit. So pre-Malibu, what was your experience in comic books, your education, and then how did you get to Malibu? So Kara's laughing already. We talked a little bit about this before going live. So how did you end up there?
I got to Malibu because I was dating a guy.
Oh no!
Oh no!
How very old-fashioned and how very 90s of you.
I did not know that.
Well, I'm going to tell you the whole story, so you'll be in the know. So, and then
Yeah,
that guy's
like comics?
no, he had a best friend who was dating a gal who I went to college with, who got hired by Malibu's accounting office. Christine.
So you just needed a job? Is that what you?
I knew. I was fresh out of school, and Christine's like, "What's your major?" And I said, well, "I got a English and philosophy double major." She said, "Can you spell?" I'm like, "Can I spell?" She said, "Then you should apply. You should apply where I'm working." And I said, "Where are you working?" She said, "I'm working at this place called Malibu Comics." I'm like, "Comic books? I want something sophisticated." And she said, "You just got out of college. What are you doing now?" I'm like, I might be working at Office Depot." She said, "Okay."
There you go.
Walmart.
And you can apply. So she gave me Ohm's number, and I called Ohm every weekend that summer. And finally, the day after Labor Day, I got to start at Malibu. Basically, I harassed Chris until he hired me.
Yeah,
there's
a theme going on here.
That's how Roland got his job too.
I can tell you that
Tom's the one I harassed.
Well, Curtis is the one, and I was like, "Listen, Roland's got to stop calling me. Can we just hire him?"
That way he'll quit calling me.
Curtis Fujita basically got the same position the same way because Chris said, "No, we don't have any jobs for you." And then Curtis just kept showing up at the office.
Curtis
Right.
there.
So
That
was like,
well, might as well pay.
That was like Chris was gatekeeper, and that was his line. And it's just like Fight Club. You'd have to come back and stand on the doorstep again and wait. Yeah.
Wait.
So I could have got more ink and work if I just showed up and just didn't leave. Is that what?
Pretty much.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's like a Seinfeld skit. If you just showed up and sat at a desk, somebody would have gotten you work.
That's right. Probably true.
Should we
We
mail
all
these
have to be
pages
busy
out, or
anyway.
should we
Come on,
just give them
man.
to Tommy? And it's like, well, Tommy's got a desk here. I guess he works here now.
Yes,
Yeah, he's sitting down. Is that Thomas's spot?
he's holding a brush, right?
Yeah, that's right. He's got a little pot of ink on his desk, and his fingers are all black.
And y'all look over his shoulder. What is he working on? He's not working on any of our books. No, this is my art studio. I'm just gonna set up here until y'all give me something.
But Roland can tell you that, and probably Kara can too, is that one of the great things about working in a comic book company that had all those different departments is watching other people do the comic book work was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was so innovative too. Just as the coloring department developed and everything started coming online, you would learn things just by osmosis. It was really, you guys don't give yourself enough credit. It was cutting edge over there.
So what's your first what was the first task that you were assigned? So you came in, you were an editorial assistant. You were an editorial assistant to Tom, right?
Yeah.
And what was it, what do you recall what your first what was I remember exactly what my first assignment was when I moved out there. So
I remember everybody's first assignment.
I remember my first assignment. You got sent into the stacks, and you had to go through all the graphic novels that were already printed and flag the errors.
Oh.
Yeah, so like all of the
That's fun.
No way. You did not have to do that.
Yes, I did, didn't I, Tom?
Yeah.
That's what my boss Tom told
Was
me.
it a test to see if you passed, to see if you found them all?
I don't know, but I can tell you Reanimator was kind of gross.
Bro, that was your book, wasn't it, Ron?
No, that wasn't mine.
Oh,
I think Stephen did covers for it. Or no, Dave Dorman did.
Dave Dorman did covers for it because we had to deal with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he needed. Well, I don't want to give it away, but we made a special deal, special arrangement with him to get covers.
Yeah. So hold on though, Kara. So these were printed comic books, already printed?
They were printed, and it was before they got compiled into the graphic novels, is what I think I was doing.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So
You were
reading the
got into
floppies before
She was reading. Well, she was. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Before
It had already been published, and you were going to put them in a trade, and you wanted to make sure everything was corrected.
Fix the errors.
Right.
From,
Yeah.
okay,
So it wasn't busy work. It was basically so you think you can spell work.
Yeah. You could look at all those errors.
Oh, okay,
Figure it out.
college person.
See the theme here? Yeah. Right,
Put your
exactly
English
right.
degree to work.
That's right.
This I took spelling 101. Figure this out.
I don't understand this comment here.
So
David
much
Ace.
better than Office Depot. Yeah.
David
all
Ace
those errors and
says
errors.
Charlie Band forever.
Oh, Charlie Band was the not the Reanimator guy, but he was the Full Moon guy.
Okay, all right. I got you. Now it makes sense. All right, so Carrie, you started. It was at the. It was in.
It was in
Newberry Park.
No, it was in Westlake. Westlake Village.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Horseshoe.
The Westlake. Yep. The
Awesome.
Westlake Village. That's where it was.
Yep.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump from my apartment, so it was easy to get over there.
Yeah.
Nice.
David Rio says, "Hey, what's up, David?
Hello.
David is a former colorist. Also doing some stuff for us. Roberta, do you want to color and broadcast it tonight?
Yeah, sure.
All
Let me
right.
put something
Ooh.
on for you.
So what we'll do is we'll still continue talking, but we'll watch Roberta color while we're chatting.
Should Kara proofread it as it goes by?
No, but you know what else, Tom, you used to have me do is I used to have to call the printer in Canada because we would do the printer. We'd do the plates there at Malibu.
Yeah.
We had the big plate printing machine, and
Right.
Eric Steno would coordinate all that, and then I would have to call the printer up in Canada and see.
Is
when
it
everything
because
got there.
you're the only one that spoke Canadian? Is that why?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is because that's from Colorado, and I understood the snow language.
But
So
the
it
snow
was
language.
okay.
The snow
Yeah.
language.
So you're from Colorado originally?
Well, okay, it depends on how you define from, because when you're in Colorado, people are very precise about what it means to be a native. So I would say I'm a quasi-native.
I don't understand that. What does that mean?
That means that my family moved here when I was really young. So for most people, I would be from Colorado, but for
Right.
Coloradoans, I'm only
Yeah.
quasi.
You weren't born there.
okay. All right.
You were not
So-
hatched
so
in
then
Colorado.
Did you move to California?
Yeah.
Specifically for work or for college?
Oh, just to work in comic books. No, I came out for college.
Okay, college. And you went to Calu? Is that where you went?
Yeah, I went to Cal Lutheran. There was a strong connection between Cal Lutheran and Malibu for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We pulled everybody out of there.
Yeah.
Little
was really
known
fun.
story. I lived on the campus of Calu for all of about 2 months.
Did you? I remember when you guys were down at CSUN.
No.
I do
Yes.
remember that.
In the gym
Yeah.
locker room. That's where he was living.
The
Ooh.
we were at Calu because when BJ graduated from college, I moved out there before she graduated, And when she graduated, she got a job at Kalu, and we lived on campus for about 2 months until they finally decided.
Oh, wow.
They came to her and said, "Oh, we've decided we don't need you after all." We're like, what?
So get out now.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Mighty Christian of them. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up at CSUN. She reached out. She somehow she knew somebody. I don't know. Anyway, well, that was a neither here nor there. So all right. So the first thing you did was proofread the printed comics to make graphic novels.
True. And then they moved me out of the closet and they let me sit in the office space with everybody else.
Oh, that's nice of them.
So wait, you were you at the end of the hall in that closet?
No, I didn't have a space. I would just get there. I walked to Tom's desk. I'm like, "What am I doing today, Mr. Mason?" And then he'd send me to the closet.
That sounds fun.
Because that was the thing. We didn't really have jobs that were well defined. It was just like, these are the things that need to get done in order for us to publish comics today. Who's coming in who can do them?
And in fact, I think I said, "Can I just be editorial assistant?" And Tom's like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah. You promoted yourself. I love it.
Yeah, I did.
She's like, "I need a title."
I need to know what's really going on. I need a place because I didn't want to leave. Once I got there, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay.
Yeah, most people did not want to leave.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Uh-oh.
All right,
Roberta, what are you working on?
Champion and Miss Fury, the
Ooh.
second book.
Oh.
Yeah. Ooh, it's
I
exciting.
don't know about the writing and the pencils, but the inks are beautiful.
Yes, they certainly are, and you
Yeah, I
would
wonder-
know.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, I wonder who that
That's
is.
it.
Actually.
The perspective is really nice.
Yeah.
So I'm curious though. So when modern coloring now, so how long does
Yeah.
it take to do a book? You get it all on screen, and how long does it take to go through a book and do all the colors?
Are you adding all of the steps of just yeah, I would say probably it depends on how long the book is, but I'm trying to keep things down to somewhere in the realm of 4 hours a page, something like that.
Wow.
Seems about right.
yeah.
And you also have a real day job too, right?
I have
And so when you got
slam
time,
and day job, so I usually don't have much time to work on, a chunk of it. So what I do is just little bits by little bits. So I make decisions on one day and then follow through and do like 3 pages backgrounds of, the water, stuff like that. So
Well-
I just kind of try and keep things consistent because I'll go, oh, wait a minute, on this page, then all of a sudden I don't like how the sky color mixes with these two guys, that, and I'll change it.
Oh, that's
on
David,
tone,
David Ace Gutierrez says it looks great, Roberta.
Well, thank you.
It does.
It's
Looking
good.
good.
Let me back out so you can see everything we got so
Ooh.
far.
Oh, there you go. Look at
There's a
that.
lot going
Yeah,
on.
there
These are
is.
There's a lot
Really
going on.
well done book.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's nice.
Look at those inks.
I like it.
Look at
Those,
those.
those things. Shh, don't say that too
There's
loud, Tom.
There's some clean lines in that too. I like that too.
yeah, I don't know where that
Yeah.
came
Yeah, who knows?
from. That was
Yeah,
Pete.
that's surprising.
Tom, you could figure out how to edit your name. I got you.
So
Thanks,
I remember this time, Tom and Roland, you guys might remember when there was this big discussion about the right kind of color. Like, you can't just go into a book and throw in any color pell-mell. You got to really think about it, and it can't be obnoxious, and it can't be. And some of us might have gotten criticized for not reining in on the color a little bit. That might have been a thing.
Well, there were a couple of things. Is that we had hired colorists who were essentially art students out of Kalu, and not comic book people. So they weren't necessarily fixated on comic book coloring, but
Right.
they knew colors. They knew it from an art perspective. And so then at one point we had Jerry Bingham come in and basically give instructions on colors, like which colors go together, how to color comics, and which, and do a bunch of that stuff. And then
He finally said, "Hey guys, let's use a palette here."
Right. And then we had colorists who, once we established the color palette for the characters, Then we had colorists who like became really, really good at just everything, and then they would teach new people that came aboard. And so nobody was really a comic book fan in the coloring department that I knew of, but they were all coloring people. And so they had, and they learned themselves, then they taught each other, and then they taught the new people.
Yeah.
And
It
so
was fun teaching the new people.
It was really the equivalent of everyone sitting around the campfire and handing down the old stories from the ancients.
Madness Comic says looks good, Roberta.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So Carrie, you sent me a list. I'm not going to read over the list, by the way.
No.
You sent me a list.
Is it a list of things she won't talk about? Is that
yeah? She actually,
because that is something that we always
email
tell
that
people
this
to come
Roland
on,
don't
what you
dare
not
ask
want
me
us to talk
these
about.
questions.
Right.
Right. And of course,
Like, what are the sidebars? Yeah, give me sidebars, Roland.
one of them, Tommy, is like, please don't ask me about Thomas Formonti's inks.
Oh, why? Because I'll talk about them.
So what? Looking at your time at Malibu, Kara, what would you look and say, hey, you know what? This is probably one of the things I'm most proud of having done while I was there.
Nocturnals. I love working with Dan Brereton on Nocturnals. I still love those books, and Dan and I send each other Christmas notes, via social media every 5 or 6 years. Hey, you still doing all right? Yeah, I'm still doing all right. But that was really great. But I'm also really proud of, and maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe this is a little bit of hubris, but I was really proud of how I handled one of the lawyers who used to call, and
that one,
and that one, and for some reason that there was a time when we were working on some really excellent books, and there was a lawyer who knew his stuff, and that was another one where Tom would be like, Carol, this take that call. And actually, I believe that phone call went from Tom to Dan Danko to Kara, and I was all of 23, and I don't know, I think this guy just liked arguing with me, and he would let me put him on hold, and I'd be like, you need to chill out, and I'd put him on hold, and I'd go into Tom's office and like, I got him on hold again, and I think Tom
that's it.
No
that
way.
might have been used to, and then I would
really?
come back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'd come back, I'd pick up, and he was still there.
Wow.
Who stays on hold to argue with the 23-year-old? By then I was associate editor, but who stays on hold to argue with the 23-year-old associate editor? I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh!
Because that was the great thing, because she's unflustered.
Yeah.
Like she just comes
I
in
remember her stories though.
Like, hey, Kara, what's going on? She goes, nothing. I got him on hold.
There was once when Scott Rosenberg came walking through the cubes, he's like, what is that sound? And he came, it was me. I was not necessarily quiet, and there was some discussion about loud voices in the cubicles after that, but what do you do?
Because there were two things with this particular lawyer. Is that one is that he would be very, very persnickety about the stuff, and we were never sure if he was representing the creators or just a thing he wanted to do. And most of it was just him exerting some kind of control or power. It wasn't really on behalf of the creators in any way. And if it was a real contractual issue, then we'd have to send him over to Dave.
Right, but even those sometimes got kicked back to me, because Joe would be like,
right, yeah.
And I think it was even just the intellectual sparring, because I had that philosophy degree in there too, so we just break it down logically and be like, if I understand right, what you just said 10 minutes ago contradicts what you're saying now.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
it kind of was, and that was hours of my day.
David H. says Nocturnals was a thing of beauty. Thank you all.
It was gorgeous.
Yes, it was gorgeous. Yeah.
he was painting it.
He was. It was really beautiful. And he'd be like, do you have anything to say editorial about my art? And I'd be like, it's beautiful. I don't.
Great job. Do more.
Yeah. Do more. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
The next book is due soon.
Right.
Well, that was the other thing about creator-owned books. We're not going to go deep in the weeds and say, I don't like the fingers on the right hand. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not what
Yeah.
we're there for. We're mostly there to say, okay, you got 30 days to get
Right.
another thing in. How's it coming?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also loved Dreadstar because we relaunched Dreadstar with Kayla Dreadstar. And so that is what I got really excited about because, and this is something Tom and I talk about, and Roland, you and I would talk about it too, women in comic books. So when Peter David wanted to write it from Kayla Dreadstar's perspective, I was like all in. I wanted to bring that in. And that was really great. Yeah. Loved that book. And I love Jim Starlin's original Dreadstar too, but yeah, really like the one we did.
David A. Gutierrez says, "Is Malibu the first and only company to feature a lawyer's name in the front credits of a comic?"
That was his deal. He represented all the bravura creators, so it was his. That was part of the that was part of the thing that comes with the deal.
Yeah, and you just roll with it, right? Because on our side, we're kind of like, yeah, we'll put your name in the credits. Who cares? David Rios says, "I was a comic fan prior, but I was also one of the new people." So
there you go.
So the bravura stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now,
good stuff.
So we skipped some stuff. So trace your path from editorial assistant to the bravura stuff, because bravura was pretty close to the end of the Malibu lifespan.
Yeah, I guess it was. So after I was editorial assistant, I became assistant editor, and that was when Tom's like, "Why don't you start answering some of the fan mail?" And so I was answering some of the fan mail on Deep Space Nine, and to my chagrin, I said some really stupid stuff, and Tom, you let it go through. So I made somebody wrote in a comment about, were you earmarking this or that for such and so? And I was like, oh, earmark, how funny. Play on words with Vulcans and people with funny ears in a Star Trek comic.
Oh, no.
And if I was a fan and I was reading that, I would have been like, oh, my God.
The only way to survive
apologize.
You have to take responsibility for your own actions.
That's right. I apologize. If I was a little flippant, and so there you go.
Okay.
But the people,
I don't know what to say.
The people who wrote in, some of them were great, and some of them were just like really hardcore.
Yeah.
Oh, we made a lot of Street Fighter fans mad.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I did. It's all my Street Fighter is all. I take full blame for that.
Roland taught me something essential, and this would have been back during X Mutants. Roland said, if you want them to keep coming, you got to kill a character. And I was like,
Yeah.
Oh no.
Roland's not wrong.
Wow.
And that sums up Street Fighter.
That was a lot of characters.
Oh, X Mutants or Street Fighter?
Street Fighter. Yeah, too.
I remember all those old ones, Protectors and X Mutants and Dinosaurs for Hire. And then we had the big crossover at the end. What was that one called? When we crossed all that over at the end.
Genesis.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have that book.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Me three.
Yeah, me three. Tommy's like, did I do anything in it?
I did.
Yeah. So you've got it too, then.
I've got some somewhere. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask this. If you don't want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it. But you briefly dropped it earlier. You mentioned something about women in comics. You are clearly female, and this was the early '90s. You were female in the office. Were there any things that did you just look around and go, holy crap, I'm a girl and I'm making comic books? Or was it just kind of like, what really?
No,
okay.
we did. And it wasn't just me. I mean, the gals in marketing and some of the gals in the coloring department, we all would look around and be like, wow, this is really cool. We're like punching through glass ceilings and things like that. But it was not always easy. And Roberta, I know you probably have stories too, but I remember towards the end, I somehow, for some reason, became the creative properties manager as well as the associate editor. And they sent me out to New York to the trade show with Marvel and everything. And it was very hard sometimes to even just get in the room as a woman. It's true. It was really hard to just have to, if I had like the prototypes of the action figures or something, I would have to put those out in front of me. It wasn't enough for me to be me and wearing my Malibu shirt, right? I have something to get in the room. Not always easy. And there were comments and I was told once that, well, I guess the best thing about having a woman editor is we'll know our swimsuits are in style. Like,
But
Wow.
did that come from
Ouch.
Garber
Can't
people or
believe
the
Tom
Malibu
said
people?
that.
Yeah,
So
I want to know that too, Tom.
that would be a creator who will rename nameless.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
know they know who they are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
But that wasn't in the
Wasn't you?
Malibu.
Wasn't you?
That wasn't in the Malibu office itself, though, was it?
No. Well, I mean, I was sitting at my desk on the phone. But
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it wasn't
so-
from anybody on
As far,
staff. At
as
Malibu.
far as I know, it really wasn't like that inside the office.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to. That's kind of
Which
where
was
I wanted
really
to go.
unique.
And again, we don't. We're not a negative show at all. This is not a negative stream or podcast, whatever you want to call it. We try to be positive because we love comics. But for me, thinking about that time, it's like, okay, well, I would hate the idea that you said, oh, I had a horrible experience at Malibu because I was a woman.
Oh no! I mean, Malibu's probably the best job I've ever had. Still to this day, we had so much fun, and it was so collaborative. And there was always now. Not to say that you guys weren't like Kara. You didn't grow up reading comic books. Come on, I'm like, well, okay, I didn't, but who was I gonna like? So
Kara,
I was always looking for a female character to attach.
Can you
to.
name an Avenger?
Yeah, I can name one.
That's the thing, though. We didn't necessarily hire people because they knew comics, because we had people in the office who knew comics.
Yeah.
You can get that. What we needed to do was have people who understood how to get the stuff done.
Get the work done.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really hard when you're only 23 telling people who are old enough to be your dad,
Yeah.
You're not on time, man. You need to get these pages in. And that would be really difficult. I remember we would pass the late great Gil Kane back and forth, Tom. We'd be like, Dan would talk to him, I would talk to him, and he'd go on and tell us great stories, and then the pages wouldn't show up. So you just have to keep going and keep pressuring.
How many times did he call you my boy?
Oh boy.
Because he could never remember anybody's name, so he always called everybody, regardless of gender, my boy.
My boy.
He did correct himself and call me my girl.
Nice.
That did happen. And then Ernie Cologne would send in freebies. He's like, here's a freebie for you. And I'd run to Tom like, Tom, look at this cool piece of Dreadstar art that Ernie Cologne did. And Tom would be like, is he handing us one in on time?
I only had one care.
That's not the one he asked us for.
Oh wow.
We have printer slots open. We have to print 4 books a week. So
that is such a Tom comment.
No nonsense at all.
Like, well, what do I do with this one? Tom's like, I don't care. I'm like, can I take it home? No. I'm like, okay.
Hey.
Somewhere we paid for that, Carrot. Go put it in the library.
Well, because the thing is, if you start taking home original art, that's been given to you, then it looks weird around the office.
Right. So
and there's gonna be it's not me necessarily being a jackass. It's me going like, somebody, it's gonna look bad, and somebody's gonna come to me and go, Tom, Kara's taking original art home.
Yeah.
So, and
right.
then,
Right.
Can I have a piece too? Yeah.
Right, and then I'm gonna be sitting with some idiot HR person trying to explain, okay, well, here's the deal. Ernie Cologne drew that and he sent it to Kara as a gift. Well, did he?
Yeah.
So, and that was how I learned about ethics.
Nice lesson.
This is pretty funny here. Said on YouTube, the proper term is unalived characters. So we can't say that we killed characters on they're unalived.
They're not.
At the moment, yeah.
We lost track of them after the bullets.
I can't tell you, speaking of bullets, how many people will talk to me about that bullet hole cover.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's firearm.
No.
Protectors.
Was it firearm?
Protectors number 5.
Oh,
Protectors
yeah.
number 5.
Oh, that's right. But didn't we do something similar on firearm too?
We did a video.
For firearm.
No, I remember that. That was very exciting.
And
that
we
was back
did,
during the Malibu film days.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything else. There wasn't anything special where because in Protectors we just punched the hole right through the comic.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
we
that
was
we
cool,
die
actually.
cut. We die cut the entire book for Ferret.
Yeah, Ferret, you
Yeah,
cut the whole face
The
out.
whole
Right.
book was die cut. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
great.
That was right. That's right. Ferret. Yeah. Roland, you had something to do with that.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Roland had everything to do with those things.
I sure did.
because the thing is that when we came up with these sort of vague ideas, we'd have to go to Roland and say, "Hey, Roland, we want to punch a hole in your comic book. What do you think about that? Hey, Roland, we want to cut a face out on your comic book. What do you think about that?"
So the face one was a whole lot easier because we hadn't done the book yet. But
Right.
the whole one was like, "Hey, here's what we're gonna do," and I'm like, "The book's already done." It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You need to figure out where the hole is going to go and make sure it doesn't, make
I
sure
guess
it
you're gonna
doesn't
be
knock
moving
out
to
any
the
lettering. So I'm like,
Right.
well, crap. So I had to go through and make sure that where the hole was going on each of the pages did knock out any lettering. And it
Oh,
came
it was
really
already
close.
printed?
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't printed. It
Well,
was,
it was
the
done,
artwork
though.
was
All the
done.
art was done.
done.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
art was done.
Yeah.
But for Ferret, the idea came first. And if I'm not mistaken, Dean Zachary actually created a template
Yes.
for the left pages and the right pages, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that they would be
That's
drawn
like-
according to the die cut.
Well, that's the thing.
Dean.
If you bring in all the partners early,
Yes,
and everybody gets to, it's when you bring stuff in late, like punch a hole in the comic book,
right.
that it gets screwy. But if you bring in everybody at the beginning, and it's just like, well, here's how we're gonna do it. Anybody got any ideas before we draw anything? It's better.
Right. Yeah.
That would be better. Yeah.
It would be. We learned our lesson.
Yeah. And that one was I don't remember any problems from my memory for the Ferret one. The Protectors one was a challenge. David Gutierrez says we hear a lot. Oops, how did I get back? We hear a lot about people bad with deadlines, but who are the good ones? Well, that's good. I like that. Good question.
Who's that
Who are the
to?
Good ones. To anybody?
Yeah,
I
I'll
was
say.
a good one.
I'll say. Chaikin, fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
on time.
I was going to say Howard. Yeah.
Starlin was on time.
Simonson. Walt Simonson.
Simonson, yeah. Brayfogle, always on time.
Oh, Norm. Yeah. He
Um,
was too. Peter David's scripts were always on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know about the Ultraverse guys because I didn't really interact with them that much. But those are the ones that I remember. Like they were like clockwork.
Yeah. For the Ultraverse guys I can remember were, of course, Kyle Holtz was always on time. Tommy was, of course, always on time.
Because y'all always
I
sending
think-
me stuff to catch other people up on.
I think Mike Barr was always on time.
Mike Barr was always on time. Yeah. Let's see here. Tom and Lynn were always on time. I can't remember you guys being late.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because Len and I had no life at that time, and so it was
Yeah.
just,
Well, I also remember a conversation with you too, Tom, talking about it. You're like, I'm on staff. I can't be late.
right, yeah, because it looks, it's sad when you have your own book and you're on staff and you're late. It's one of those things that just looks
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
not a good look.
Lead by example. That's management sets culture. That's what
I
they tell
lead
you.
by
Yep.
fear of HR.
Let's see who. Gabriel Gecko, who now goes by Gabriel Hardman. Man, I sure wish Turf War. That's one of the things that there are a couple of regrets I have.
Regrets.
That I wish was able to happen.
Whirlwind has regrets.
I do have regrets. One of them was Turf Wars. I hated that Turf Wars never saw print because I still to this day think that was some of the best prototype stuff.
Yeah.
And then the sludge book that
Mitch drew.
Mitch Bird drew.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
God, that was a
Right.
good looking book.
That was
Yeah.
so
Man, yeah.
Oh, that's one. Aaron Lepresti, always on time. Like
Aaron Lepresti, always on time. Yep, there you go.
Also,
Thomas Derenick was always on time.
yep. And in the early days, Darren Goodhart
Darren Goodhart, yep.
and Lowell Cunningham, Sandy Carruthers. Well, these all predate Roland involved in the company. But
Yeah. I know the names.
Yeah, R.A. Jones.
R.A. was,
Clockwork. Yeah, so a bunch. They're a bunch of really great folks to work with.
Yeah. So I've kind of dominated the questions. You guys have any questions? Tommy, Roberta?
Can you describe maybe a little bit more about that job that had you analyzing creatives? It sounds a little more interesting, just in terms of like, it's a different type of job for you.
A question for me?
Yeah.
Kara.
Yeah, when you were in the creative services.
Yeah, having that is such a different type of a position other than yelling at people on the phone.
Conversations.
Negotiations.
It's
more of a meet and greet kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So analyzing creatives, like when I was doing editing, or when it was a bit of a learning curve for me, because all the editing I had done before then was basically, academic writing.
Yeah.
And editing, that's sort of very different. Yeah. And so thinking about story arcs and how to bring all that together. And I didn't get to choose who did any, I didn't get to choose which artist did what. I came on after that part of the process. But it was a really good learning experience for me as in what to look for, and the key of storytelling, who could really capture that with their characters, with the growth it shows a character go through, with the art that would highlight it. And one thing I remember very clearly about getting used to that editing process and how a comic book breaks it down and how you storyboard a comic book. I remember Rob Conti and I had to go down to LA. This is when Ray Manzarek, you guys remember who Ray Manzarek was? He was a keyboardist for the Doors.
Yeah.
And so we were going to do the Doors comic book for Rocket Comics. And Rob needed a ride down there, New Yorker that he was, didn't have a car. And I was like, hey, I'll drive. And it was like a Sunday. So Rob and I got down there, and we're these poor starving artist kids in comic books. And Ray Manzarek opened up his home to us, and we get in and we're going through this art. And I cannot remember the artist on that. It's a guy from Brazil. It was beautiful stuff. But we're looking at the pages, and Ray Manzarek was not happy with him. He's like, I don't know what's missing here. And I said, well, I don't know about you guys, but this right here, I mean, I saw your movie, Mr. Manzarek, and I've been a big Doors fan all my life. And this right here, when you're on the beach and Jim Morrison is like, we're going to be called the Doors. This is an itty bitty panel. Why isn't this a double page spread? Because this is like your reveal moment for the comic book. And he was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what it should be. And it was that kind of thing. By then I'd already been at Malibu for about 3 years. And that kind of analysis where you could look at how the story's breaking down, it was starting to sink in. I was catching on.
That's great.
Because we didn't really have a training program necessarily. We would just give people stuff, and you sink or swim, and you can learn by asking questions, but there's no school that happens in the company.
Yeah.
It's all OTJ, on the job training, which is really great. And for those who are from the hip and you learn on your feet, it's a great place to be. And I would suggest that kind of a background rather than going and slogging through a business major or something in college. But don't quote me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, you guys may not remember this, but of course this was after Kara. Of course, after I was there, one of the things you guys had me do was the interns, and
that I did the interns before you did the interns.
Yes. And one of the things that I started doing was kind of training them. We went through the sort of process. The idea was that they would be interns, and then they would go to editorial assistants,
right,
and then move up that way. And so that was one of the things that fell to me. Then I started training the interns,
because of
course the interns always started off just making photocopies and stuff, but
right. Well, because that's where we got Steve, and that's where we got Jason.
Yep.
Well, and Phil Crane started out as an intern too.
Phil Crane, Phil too. Scott Bernstein,
and Gerald
De Victoria.
Gerald.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those guys are all great.
Yeah.
And we were a little team there. And Roland, you started giving them some structure. I just made sure they showed up.
I'd say they were Nocturnals pages to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But where are you?
That's
What do you mean you're in class? Why aren't you here? You have a job.
Do you understand we're making comic books today?
That's right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
We can't make them if you're not here.
That's don't make Stephen Grant mad. We need you here in the office.
Oh man. Yeah.
So, what word did I get in trouble for? I got in trouble. We did the ash cans for New York Con. Tom,
Right.
do you remember the black and white ash cans?
Yeah.
And I said something. I cannot remember a word. And Howard Chaykin and I got into this battle about the meta definitions of certain words. And I cannot even remember the
with
word
Howard?
that it was.
Arguing
Yeah.
about language? I'm shocked by this.
Really?
Why would that happen?
Such a surprise.
I'm shocked. I'm stunned. I'm almost speechless.
I know, shocking. I can't remember what the word was either, but it was a word that I thought was complimentary, and he did not.
I can tell you. I'll name drop because I had lunch with Howard a couple months ago, and we had the same argument we always have over words and language. And
is one of those not curmudgeon. Golly, I said something to him just within the last couple of years, and he goes, "I don't like that word." And he says, "Don't call me that." And of course, I wasn't meaning it. And he wasn't angry, but it was like, I'm like, oh, okay. So he explained it. I forget what it was there. So David Ace Gutierrez has a question. Kara, he says, which of the licensed books had the quickest approvals and the slowest ones?
Well, I remember that Breed went really fast.
Yeah.
I thought that Breed went really, really quick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well,
that was always on time, and yeah.
Because Starlin knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wanted it out.
Yep.
But does he mean stuff like Deep Space Nine and Street Fighter and Planet of the Apes, or is he asking?
Or about Bravura, yeah. So
Bravura
that for us, Mr. Gutierrez. Yeah. One of the things, we sometimes talk. We haven't really talked about it much on our stream, but in circles and everything, when we talk about the image stuff, is one of the things that the image guys had to learn was that they had to learn. They just made the books before, and once they jumped ship from Marvel, they had to figure out, there's a whole other side to making comic books as well. It's more than just drawing and coloring and lettering. I got to deal with the distributors. I got to deal with the retailers and the printers, and that was a tough learning curve for them. And if there's nobody pushing you, right, the deadlines are your own. You're kind of like, oh well, I'll play ping pong today.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I love ping pong.
I would play ping pong all day long.
David Ace Gutierrez says, I meant the licensed Deep Space Nine.
All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. The creative option ones that we had. Yeah.
Well, the answer is that the Planet of the Apes and Alien Nation were the fastest ones to get approved because 20th Century Fox said, don't bother me.
Okay.
I would, because I learned over the years that you have to send everything step by step to the licensor as things go on, so there are no surprises. So you'd send the premises and the outline and the script, and then the pencils and the inks and the letters, whatever. And I'd get a call from the person at 20th Century Fox, and she would just say, "What are you doing? Why are you sending me this stuff?"
They were like, "Didn't we tell you could do the book? Just do it."
So I just stopped sending it, and so that was the easiest one. Deep Space Nine was on a schedule, so they knew, and they'd been working with DC all the time, so they knew what they had to do. So there was never a delay, unless the problem would always be when I would submit a premise or a story to Paramount, and Paramount would say we didn't want to do it, and then the writer of the premise would get me on the phone and say, "Well, did you tell him this? This ties. He wanted to go into a deep dive and try to we got to fight for this premise because this fits in with the this and that and ties in with this." It's like, we're not going to do that. Paramount,
Paramount said no.
Paramount said no. I'm not going to go back to Paramount and waste my time to argue with them. So no, if you want in, come up with a better idea.
Yeah.
And so, because I'm very pragmatic. And then the Street Fighter one went the same way. Everything got approved going through their system, and that was on a monthly schedule because they understood what they had to do, and the Full Moon people were on a schedule, so they knew what to do. So everybody was within the time limit of what they had. There were no bad people.
We did a Tarzan book too.
And
I
that
remember.
was and that was pre-approved because the guy who had the license, he's not
Burl
Dutch. but
Society or something like that.
Well,
I don't
it was
remember.
a guy. I'm gonna botch his name. It's Henning Cure or Henning Cure, but he had the license for comics, and so he got everything pre-approved from the Burroughs estate and the license holders before we ever published it. So we didn't have to go through any of that. He had already assigned the script. He'd already assigned the creators. He'd already gotten the artists and the coloring already pre-approved. So that was a breeze.
You know what I remember about that book is they had a special cause, if you want to call it that, not a charity exactly, but a special cause they wanted to highlight called EIA, Elephants in Action, and we had a write-up that we did in the back about saving elephants internationally.
Yes.
I just remember that being at the end of the book.
So cool.
Yeah,
because and you know they're good eating.
You know,
But yeah,
Tom.
so we did. Hi, Roberta. And so,
Hi.
Yeah, so but that
Just
was
the boss.
yeah. So we put, and I kept my comments to myself at that point.
Did you now? That's so not how I remember.
I probably didn't keep my comments to myself.
Probably did not. Yeah.
That would not. That would be
Probably
not.
not.
Like me.
And there would be
Awesome.
things. There would be things, Tom, that you would say on the phone, and Stacy and I would be like, oh, and Stacy would just be laughing out loud, but I'd be like, and then Kim would be like, and I'm writing that one down.
Yeah.
Remembering that for later.
So
I actually have Kim's list of horrible
You have
things Tom said.
The
Oh my
Tomisms
God.
and the
Yeah.
Ulmisms. Oh,
Yep.
because my favorite Ulmism, and I know you guys had Chris on a couple weeks ago, but my favorite Ulmism is, hey, is Thanksgiving on Thursday this year?
Yeah, we still
No.
talk about that. The other, we still give him a hard time. Every November it comes around.
I think
it was only 30
we
years
said
ago.
something about something about that on the stream, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Because I
That's
talk
a
to
good
him.
one.
I do a Zoom with him every Friday, and every time Thanksgiving comes around, it's like, are we going to meet on Friday? I said, well, yeah, because Thanksgiving's on a Thursday this year.
Awesome.
Aw.
So Carrie, you mentioned Ulm and Tomisms. Are there any that you can repeat here that you can remember?
That I can repeat. Well,
Yeah, that you
probably.
can repeat.
Yeah, Fred, there was a little sing-song one that went
I'm
something
sweating.
something something 2x4 can't fit through the Malibu door. I remember that.
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I've had lots of therapy, as Roland knows. I don't say those things anymore.
And then we wondered what happened to Malibu.
Listen. I've said before on previous streams that I'm an HR nightmare.
Oh man, yeah, it's a good time.
All I remember is that I would, and this because the office was open at the time, and it was just a big bullpen where everybody's desk was visible. There are no individual cubicles. People would hear me be like super pleasant and nice on the phone to somebody, and then I would hang up, and then I would say what I really felt about this jackass I just had to talk to.
Aw.
And then I wasn't mad. I would just hang up the phone and go, jackass. And then I would turn around and everybody would be staring at me like it was a scene from a movie where their eyes are open and their jaws down on the ground. It's like, how could you say that?
And you could hear the director in the background. Just let him go. Just let him go. Yeah. It'll be good stuff. It's gonna be good stuff.
Because the whole time Tom's thinking, what are they going to do? Send me home? I'm ready to go home.
That's great.
And you got to remember, in the background every morning, Dwo had on Howard Stern. I mean, that was every day in the
Oh, boy.
office for a long
yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was
Yeah, so-
it was pre-streaming Howard Stern. It was network
Yeah.
Howard Stern.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's live
Yeah, that
radio.
was still
Yeah.
pretty
I-
bad though. That was still pretty.
I didn't even know who he was before I moved out there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everybody in the office knew him. soon
Yep.
enough.
We all knew.
That-
We all knew
that's-
who he was.
That's how I learned. Yeah. Yeah.
We were just
Good times. Good times.
yeah, it's-
It was though.
Look at that.
I recommend therapy.
Didn't we all? Wasn't there like a team therapist for a while there at the end?
I don't know if we had a kumbaya person who came in and burnt sage all around the office to try to cleanse everybody.
So,
Could be okay.
so Carol, what are you doing now, and how did you get there from comic books?
Well, we we went through that takeover, and I thought I want to go somewhere ethical. So now I work for the federal government.
What were you thinking?
Ethical, huh?
I don't know. It just seemed, no, the truth is that I had been accepted to grad school and I had kept deferring because I was having so much fun at Malibu. And so then when Marvel was buying Malibu and people were switching all around, I asked if I could stay on through the summer and deferred my acceptance. And then when I left in August of '95, I went straight to grad school. So there you go. That's
Wow.
Ah, that's cool.
what I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all worked out, and I
Well-
I moved on from there into what I do in government, and I've worked for 5 different federal agencies and 5 different departments. But what I do is I take that technical language and I basically translate it into information that the American public can understand, so they know what their government's doing for them and why. And I learned some of those skills in Malibu. I had to translate creative talk and contract language and try and make people make sense, because
Yeah.
not everything makes sense.
I still
You
can't
ever-
understand lawyer speak.
Do you ever call politicians up and say, "Hey, where are the pages?"
I do. I have made the joke that I went from writing comic books to writing congressional testimony, and yeah, there's a lot the same kind of storytelling going on.
a lot of made up stuff.
Well, let's say that we employ some of the same artistic tactics, like hyperbole and archetype. Yeah, absolutely. And a character, you could have a character maybe for one agency or another. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Why not? Yeah. Actually, it's funny. Where I am now, I'm with an agency in Department of Homeland Security, and a couple years ago, I'm actually with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Shameless plug.
That's so cool.
Ah,
But what they did,
Cybersecurity is so cool.
it is fascinating and frightening, and it's the wave of the future. But we did comic books a couple years ago. We did one on. We did. Now the art's nowhere near as good as what you guys do. Sorry, but it was got to get it done, and so they got the pages in. But it's one on bug bites, and it's one on dis, and malinformation. Y'all should be aware of that.
ooh.
Wow, bug bites. 'Cause,
Yeah,
bug bites
yeah.
give you superpowers. We've learned that from Spider-Man.
That's right.
Exactly. You wouldn't think so, but not so much. Yeah,
So are
not
you
these ones.
you talking about things like mosquito bites and ticks and things like that?
No, I'm talking about the little cyber bugs, like the little pieces of a
Ah.
virus.
No way.
Get in there
Nice.
and
What?
mess up your stuff online. I mean, you got all your comic books online now. What kind of cybersecurity you got there? How are your passwords? Are you thinking before you click? And what kind of updates are you doing for your software? How are you building your firewalls? All of that good stuff. Cybersecurity.
Wow.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So where would someone see your
It's
work?
like
then,
Tom trying
right?
to close browser windows.
That's
When
right.
he's talking about the-
Why won't this close? Yeah.
Why is my computer's fan still turning?
It's so slow. Why did this get slow? Yeah. I do a lot of content creation. So right
Mhm.
now you can find really anonymous stuff on CISA.gov. But if you want to know how to protect your cyber system, both at work and at home, you can check them out there. There's some ideas for everybody.
Very
All right.
cool.
So there's
Thank you.
shameless plug. Shameless plug.
You sound like somebody who writes promotional copy for the government.
So
I learned to write that promotional copy at Malibu Comics.
what's the web address again? I'm gonna put it in the comments here.
It's easy. It's CISA, CISA.gov, CISA.gov. So, yep, go learn about your cybersecurity, infrastructure security. But I have a story I want to tell about learning how to write a press release from Mr. Tom Mason.
Okay.
Oh,
I apologize in advance for this story.
How I got my job in the government, I went and I applied for a job with an agency called the Bureau of Reclamation. That's water in the West, think Hoover Dam, Shasta Dam, all that stuff. And back in the late 90s, they were trying to negotiate with environmentalists for the releases that would come out of the dam, but also with the people who use the water that comes out of the dam, hydroelectricity, agriculture, and things like that. And they were trying to negotiate what these flows in the river would be. And part of my interview was I had to go in there and I had to meet with the water contract salesperson and the hydrologist and the biologist. And I had to help them come up with a solution for these public meetings. So right there on the fly, I drafted a news release a la Tom Mason using exciting comic book words. And I put it down and I said, here is a news release about a public meeting you should hold. And the biologist looked at it and he's like, well, we can't send this out. They'll come to our public meeting. and then the hydrologist looked at it and he's like, you know, when they come, their lawyers are drunk.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I blame you, Tom. I got the job.
Listen, I might not be the only HR nightmare.
You're not, but yeah, that was what started it all.
I never called the opposition drunk in a meeting before.
it was after you hung up on.
That's what I
never
was
hung
gonna
up on
say.
it first.
After you hung up on the phone. But no, I learned to write a news release and at Malibu because we're always writing them for CBG and everybody else out there, and we would have to change them up if we were going to be sending it out to the Bible Belt, or if we're going to be sending it to New York or California, and it's just a template.
Because
Yeah.
one of the things that I learned early on is if you have a press release, then people are fighting about the content of the press release. If you don't have a press release, then they're fighting about whether or not they should send it out. So it's better.
Yeah.
It's better to have it written and give them something to fight over than to talk about it in abstract terms.
Yeah.
That's right. And
so
then to
kill
have
it,
a
right?
template.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the template for it. So you're not having to start from scratch every single time.
Right.
So to answer your earlier question, Roberta, I actually started in marketing with Tom. I started doing the editing or catching all of the errors for the graphic novels. Then I did marketing, and then I moved over to editorial assistant and Deep Space Nine and all that stuff.
I see.
Yeah. And then we all kind of worked with marketing that whole time.
That must have been an interesting end of it, I think. The marketing side of it, because it's new frontiers, so to speak.
Yeah, all the way from
for what we were anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bus stop ads. Who knew?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty interesting.
We had like 9 or 10 people in marketing who were all working on this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so they were coming up. There were no bad ideas, only really wild, stupid ideas. So, and we would do them.
Yeah.
So is a stupid idea an expensive idea, or is a stupid idea one that you think just won't?
Well,
or something.
Well, almost every idea had to pay for itself in some form, unless we were going to blow the budget out. Because if you had a bunch of crazy ideas that paid for themselves, then you could afford a bus bench.
Right.
Or a bus stop ad or plaster some kind of bus. And so if you divided it up, like 3/4 of your stuff had to be self-paid, and then you had a budget where you could just blow on really crazy stuff.
So those are the fun ones.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like
I will tell the funniest one because I live for this. Is when we were doing the bus bench, not bus bench. We were doing their bus shelters in New York and Los Angeles. And for those who don't know, that's a bus shelter is where you stand under a little glass enclosed area and wait for the bus to come pick you up.
Bus stop.
And we found out that we could target very specific bus stops in New York and Los Angeles. And somebody said, I don't know if it was me, but I know that I approved of it immediately. Somebody said, "Oh, look, there's a bus stop right in front of the Marvel offices." And we said, we don't care what it costs. We need to put up our giant Ultraverse poster right in front of the Marvel offices so that when they come out at the end of the day or go in at the beginning of the day, they're going to see our poster and they're going to think that we've got these all over town. And so we were able to do that.
I love it.
And then
I know why I couldn't get in the room when I was out there.
And then we had, and then in order to prove it, we had people go out and take a picture of it when they were in New York. Oh yeah, look, there's our poster. And the thing is,
some of those. Yeah.
And the thing is, you pay for X amount of time, so it'll be up for like a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, whatever it is you pay for. But if they don't have another client to take the space, it could stay up indefinitely for the same price. And so ours was up like way longer after the term expired.
Because no one bought it.
Yeah, because no one took the space.
Bought it. Wow. So, have you guys ever talked about the day Stan Lee came to visit?
Oh,
different.
Yeah.
No, you go right ahead. Yeah,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because that was when, everything was going forward with Marvel, and they sent out Stan Lee and the Marvel West team, and we all went to whatever that restaurant was in Calabasas. I can't remember when we had moved the office to Calabasas, and we all went out with him, and we had that big long table, and he was so kind and gracious and talked to everybody. And I remember when lunch was over, there were a few of us hanging around in the lobby getting ready to leave. And I found myself face to face with Stan Lee. And I don't consider myself to be somebody who's tongue-tied in front of celebrities, because we met quite a few people at Malibu. We had Lita Ford and a whole bunch of, who's the guy who came in from Star Trek all the time? Walter Koenig. Walter Koenig came in. And not to mention all the comic book creators. But Stan Lee standing there, I did not know what to say. I was tongue-tied. That never happens to me. Like, oh, it's Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Well, my Stan Lee story is that after the purchase, some of the Marvel executives met the handful of us Malibu executives at Chinois in Venice, and I walked in, and the first person I met at dinner, there were two tables that had all been put together, and Stan and I ended up next to each other, and Stan turned to me and he introduces himself. I'm Stan Lee, and it's like, okay,
yeah, right.
I kind of know, and he goes, tell me, I've forgotten. Am I supposed to kiss your ass, or do you have to kiss my ass? and I said, well, I think I have to kiss your ass all the time, Stan. And then somebody came over, I think it was Terry Stewart, and grabbed Stan because they didn't want Stan to sit next to me for obvious reasons. And they
this
pulled
guy,
Stan away,
not
and Stan
this
went to sit
guy.
with the adults.
No. We don't want to stand next to Tom Mason. No.
Please don't. Whatever you do, don't put it there. Stan needs to sit with the suit and tie people. Don't put it near the sweatshirt kid.
Yeah, I think I finally spat out something about black and white cookies, and he's like, "Yep, that's a fine cookie, better in New York."
That's a fine cookie. And it's not. It's an awful cookie.
It's called a black and white cookie?
Wait, you've seen them.
You've seen them. Half is the vanilla, and then half is the chocolate icing, and they're big round cookies.
You look like an Oreo
yang symbol.
No, not like an Oreo.
Like a yin yang symbol.
Yeah,
a contestant kind of places.
Yeah.
No, they're dry and awful.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would rather eat a bag of diabetes than have black and white cookies.
All right.
Well, I guess
that's the takeaway today.
That's right. That's the takeaway.
What would you say, Kara? What would you say your biggest surprise or shock or was when you started at Malibu? Like when you got in there and you're like, had a little bit of time for it to sort of sink in and everything. What would you say? You go home and you go, really? This is what I'm surprised at this or shocked at this or what would you say?
Honestly, I didn't think work was going to be that much fun.
Aww.
It was just fun. It was
Yeah.
fun every day. I was excited to get up and go to work every day, and I didn't know it was going to be
You
like
act
that.
like you're trying to get your job back. What the...
Oh no, the pay was terrible. But
Oh, yeah.
the job was fun.
Yeah.
It was.
There's no money in comics.
There's no money. But dang, we had fun. It was a good time.
David A. Gutierrez says, thank you all for doing this. Love learning about the Malibu days.
Thanks for listening.
He's just upset because we never hired him.
Who is?
David.
Oh.
Because I think he was about 13 at the time.
He's like, look, you hired Curtis and he was 15.
That's right.
Come
we
on.
did. If only David knew to show up at the office and just hang out and say, look, I'm waiting for Chris.
Every day.
That's
That's right. Every day,
Every-
stand at the front door every day.
Yeah,
All you had to do was wear them down. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's right.
Oh, we don't have any work. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you don't?
I'll just sit over there till you do.
That's right. We have an extra desk we picked up at a thrift shop. So here,
That's right.
the seat.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. He says, I wish I could just show up and get a job.
There you go. You could have circa 1992, 1993.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
If that were true,
Yeah,
I think I would just go
okay.
show up at a bank.
That's right. Yeah, because I would love to work at a bank. Oh my God, what a joy!
I just want the money that's there. I don't want to work there.
There's no actual cash in a bank, Roland. It's all
Well, there's no extra cash in my house either.
well,
Again, it's electronic. So you know what I'm going to tell you about that.
right. You could
Oh,
you
no.
could listen, Roland. You could stay at home and do it on your computer and just siphon out all the money. You don't have to go in and rob the bank anymore.
Roland wants to wear the mask and run around with the
Yeah,
gun.
that's right.
Yeah,
Hey.
I want the ski mask.
That's right. Because this makes me look good.
No. Nothing will make me look good, but it'll make me look cool.
That's, yeah, because you still put your glasses over the top of it.
Right. Wait a minute. My glasses, my mask is under my ski mask.
It's still-
Just you can't wear dead presidents because that Point Break era is over.
That's right.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Roland doesn't surf.
That's
Still
right.
that
Yeah.
too. Yeah. I don't think Patrick Swayze really surfed, but that's all right.
No, I don't think so.
David says all the calls I made to Mike Giles to get his job there.
See, that's how it's
Mhm.
done.
Yep.
Giles learned from the Alm. You got to wear him down.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well, as always happens, my clock tells me that we have passed our hour, and it has flown. I know, Roberta, it's flown
good.
by.
What a delight.
So much fun. Kara, is there anything that you're like, hey, I really wanted to say this, but Roland didn't? No, none of them asked me this question. Is there anything that you were just chomping at the bit to say, and we didn't ask you, and you're like, man, I need to say this. This is your chance.
Well, I guess, one of the things we always talked about was getting girls into comic books. And
Yeah.
I think if you want to
Mhm.
have something to say to all the young ladies out there who want to write comic books, draw comic books, tell them, learn how to tell your story. That's the bottom line. Learn
Yeah.
how to tell
Mhm.
your story.
Excellent. Love it. Yeah. Yeah,
You
it's
should look at-
fantastic.
You should look at Roberta's coloring.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I don't know if you do you remember Barb Kalberg, Kara?
I do actually. Yeah. I do.
Barb's doing a book for us. She's the creator and writer.
That's awesome.
Yep. She is except for the penciling, she's inking and well, she's not lettering it, but she's inking and coloring it. And she's got R.A. Jones helping her with the script, and Tom has just stepped in to help with the story. So
Yeah, that's like old home week right there.
Oh,
And
listen,
listen,
I'm telling you.
I've got
Listen,
Barb
Kara,
on the phone. Can you talk to her for me? Because I don't want to.
Kara, I tell
Tom's
people,
gonna hang up and say something rude to her.
There's been a few people tried to accuse me. Say, well, you're just trying to rebuild Malibu. I'm like, no. I don't want to do that. That was lightning in a bottle, and there's no way. But what I do want to do, what I would hope to accomplish with Sona is to catch that spirit, that spirit that Malibu had.
Well,
Yeah.
I left her name off, but Barb Kahlberg was another one of those creators who was like lights out every 30 days. It's like,
yep,
she
always
got to
on
work
time.
Always.
She's listening, and she's probably going, well, it's about time you mentioned me. I was saying it when I was listening.
I never said I was a good person.
Well, no. It's not being a good person. It's about the memories. Like, you have to go down the list of all the people, right?
Look, it says right here, Kara's elderly coworker. I get a pass.
Boss, Kara's elderly boss. Yeah.
But in reality, am I like the least boss you've ever had?
You and the Ulm, yeah, absolutely.
Like, we're not really.
Well, my boss right now is pretty awesome too, actually. But
I never thought of myself as a boss, even though I was in charge of people. It was just like being a boss is like Raymond Drysdale from the Beverly Hills Bank in the Beverly Hillbillies. It's not like I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
No, it was collegiality. You know, there were no bad ideas, and we were all encouraged to share them, and that was really exciting and part of what made it fun.
Because we never knew. There were two things: we never knew where the next good idea was going to come from, and or anybody's bad idea might spark somebody else to take that and go, well, here's what we could really do. And so it becomes a conversation more than just a checklist of bad ideas.
Yeah. And I always look at it. And like you, Kara, I always thought I'm not a morning person. Even to this day, I'm not a morning person. But I never had problems getting up to go to work at Malibu.
Yeah, that's right.
I never, it was not one of those things. My alarm went off and I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. Oh, I don't. It was never one of those. I mean, there may be things, and I won't mention that. I'm expecting a call from this creator today. I don't want to take that call. But it was not the kind of thing that's like, I'm not going in or I don't want to go in. I had no problem getting up and going, you know?
Yep. Every day.
I'm going to teach. Oh, man, I got to go teach today. Oh, no.
That's right. Tomorrow's Monday. Get it back at work.
Right. Yeah. All right, Tommy. Ask your question.
All right. Here's the question.
I like how he tried not to ask it.
Well, I wasn't going to, but since you brought it up. Okay. So
I know you want to. So
whenever we have any Malibu folks on here, and now that we've got Tom, and then I've also added Roberta to the list. So you've got to tell us your most embarrassing story about Roland, Tom, and Roberta that you remember. Something embarrassing that will make them mad at you. Something really embarrassing.
Yeah.
But you've already said so many things about Tom already, so we probably should just leave Tom out because
I'm a live wire. I'm just ready to get mad at
I know. Tom will hang up right now and start cussing.
I don't have any embarrassing stories about Roberta.
Oh, thank you.
Of course not, because Roberta's
because I was an angel. Sure. That's
but I
not
will
why.
say there was a time when the editorial board went out to dinner, and I was the only woman on the editorial board. And there was much curiosity. We were all much younger then about what girls really talk about when they're alone. And they all leaned across the table and looked at me like, Kara, what do they talk about when they're alone? When you guys are alone, what do you talk about? And Roland leaned in, and you guys were all not clean shaven. And he's like, just ignore all of this and pretend we're girls.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
We're trying to reach the female audience. No pressure.
Oh, well, Kara, thank you so very much for joining us tonight.
Kara, it's great to see you again.
It was so much
great
fun.
to see you guys. It was really fun. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. Miss you all.
We didn't get you in trouble with the government for anything, do we? You didn't have to get special permission to come on tonight or anything.
I didn't tell them, so maybe I am Tom's
We'll find out
protege.
tomorrow.
Well,
Next
she
week, you
just-
can send us a note. We'll bring
She
it up.
did say Homeland Security, so they're listening right now.
I know.
Yeah,
They are.
that's
I
Well, they
get
didn't
it.
shut
It's
us
on there.
off, so apparently we're still on. It says live still.
Yeah,
So I guess,
that's right. It didn't get cut off.
yeah.
So Kara, don't go anywhere. Hang out with us a little bit after the stream if you got some time.
All right, I got time. It was
Excellent.
great being here.
Mhm.
All
So
right.
on Tuesday, that Silverline show on Tuesday, these guys are going to talk about the Blitz, how to blitz media to promote a comic. The gang talks about how you can create and distribute as much marketing as possible to promote a new book launch.
Are they going to
Wednesday.
make a TikTok video?
Let's come again.
Are they going to make a TikTok video or do some
I
kind
don't
of
know, but
comic book dance?
They should. I got an idea for a TikTok video for we'll talk about it later. But I
Just do some
I'm
twerking.
thinking-
That's all that's on.
thinking it could catch on. Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to talk about female villains, successful ingredients versus unfortunate ingredients. And then we will be back next Sunday night with I don't have a topic yet, so but we will be back next Sunday, and
All right.
with something. I don't know. I'll see if these guys have anything in mind to talk about. But until then, Kara, hold on. Here we go. Until then, what we like to do before we get out of here, let me find all my buttons. We like to say,
Oh no! I spilled coffee all over my.
Hey,
make mine Silverline.
Silverline.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, kids.
Hi, my name is Paul Kupperberg. Make mine Silverline.